星と深淵。無事今日の依頼。星と深淵を目指せ。
前に出した依頼はどうなった？そろそろじゃないか？
申し訳ございません。されたファルカさんへの。
そりゃそうさ。俺一人で飲んでるわけじゃないからな。あの程度じゃちゃんとタイミングは考えてるさ。暁ワイナリーのダンディモンド・セフィロス騎士団の大団長として暁ワイナリーの商売を安心してくれ。みんなの分も少しは残してある。全部買い占めだが、ここまでの長旅で酒の風味が落ちちまう。誰と飲むかな。ガイアのやつは呼べば来るだろう。ディルックはまあ捕まえる。いや、いっそあいつらを二人とも誘って一緒。
逃げ道はありません。価格守りし先行よ、来たれ。見切りました。
生きて片付けましょう。
やっと行け。
移して
聞く価値もない。
そこ。
はっ逃げ道はありま。
片付けましょう。やっ雨上がり、瑠璃が月を映す。 変だな。ジン団長の手紙にはここでイベントをやるって書いてあったのに、なんで何もやってないん。そういえばそうだな。ちょっと思い返しただけでも思い出がどんどん溢れてくるぞ。ひひ、これだけ時間が経ったのに、ここはあの時と全然
I
変わ
mean,
ら
yeah,
な
it's an
いな。
empty beach. Like, how much is it going to change?
急にロマンチックなこと言っちゃって、お前も感じるものがあるんだ。さてと、ジン団長たちの姿も、あの時
For a long question mark, Act 1. That's funny.
あの時はここに水スライムが隠れてたんだよな。今はもういなくなって。キノコン？モンドにもキノコンがいたのか？でも 今のお前ならもう楽勝だよな。
Oh, I don't even have my normal weapon either. Oh, yeah, I can tell I'm clearly in an instanced area. You can see there's the border preventing me from going anywhere. Oh, I see. This surprise for us, too.
パイモン、今何か聞こえなかった？
お、何も聞いてないぞ。
気のせいだったかな。
I'll clean these bombs.
え、なんでこの木ボンボン爆弾から出てくる？そんなわけないだろう。見た目も似てないし、でも人通りの少ないところとはいえ爆弾だし。お、そうだな。あ、そうだ、片付ける前に念のため写真。さっき急に出てきたキノコも、もしこれがイベントの飾り付けじゃないんなら証拠になるかもだろ。なんだよその謎の評価は。ふん、まあ非常食よりマシだな。褒め言葉として受け取っ。オイラたちはいろんな企みを見破ってきたけど、ひどい目にもあってきたし、慎重になるに越したことはないぜ。前向きだな。よし、それじゃあ写真を撮って爆。ただのクラッカーだったのか。もしかして本当にただの歓迎の道具だったのか。よし、これで大丈夫
I
そう
mean, fireworks can still be dangerous. What happens if they went off when we were thinking they were sunsetting and about to reach
あ
them?
の時なんて言ったっけな。あ、思い出した。
Oh, interesting. The Statue of the Seven was red, so it was not unlocked. Oh, it's the exact same screenshot they did before. So it's red because that's exactly as it was in prologue. So in the prologue, they did that same pan around your shoulder type thing.
七柱の元素の神のうち、これは風を司るものだな。
Because obviously, when you first come in the prologue, it was locked, and we unlocked the animo power by touching it and getting animo. So it is interesting that they're trying to like recreate the first. Well, obviously there was like fireworks or whatever,
で
but
も、
that is nice.
心臓の姿、なんか変わっそうだな。
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's a shame they couldn't have done this as part of like an anniversary event. You know, like when the actual anniversary was to have a big anniversary theme thing. This is almost like 6 months after the 5-year anniversary. Actually, no more. Well, no, yeah, about 6 months. About 6 months. Not exactly, because it's March 1st now, or it's the end. Actually, no, the end of February. Yeah. I think it's off by a month. It'd have to be March 28th would be a proper anniversary. I mean, exactly 6 months after the anniversary. So it's a shame they couldn't have done it then. But obviously, this does make this whole Varka coming back makes very good sense for the reason they would bring us back to Mondstat. And considering we're going back to Mondstat, having an anniversary event, even late, and not exactly on the anniversary, is still interesting. I like that it's an homage to all the stuff that happened back then. And that's what I really do like about this game, is that they don't like just drop old characters and forget about them, right? They don't be like, well, it's been years, there's been power creep. Of course those characters are not going to be used. Of course you're not going to go back to the old world. You've been to that place. There's no reason to go back, right? Because like that's kind of how Enfield is kind of shaping out. Is that like I was checking the auto factory thing, and they say the auto factory will only work for the last 2 regions. Now, luckily, at the moment, there's only 2 regions, right? There's just Valley 4, and there's Wuling. So it's like, oh, okay, And realistically, it does make sense. Like, if there's enough time in between everything, it won't matter. Like, I'm already almost bought out the last $16 million decorative thing from Valley 4, and at that point, like after that point, there's like nothing else to buy. The only thing I would buy would be just like, the only thing I would buy would be something like the gift items every week and stuff like that, and some of the Essence accessories and stuff like that. The Essence tickets, basically. Like that's the only thing to buy, and I'm still making like millions. I guess I'm still make a few million a day. So it's like, it does make sense that, like, yeah, sure, by the time the 3rd region comes out, because like, it's obviously not going to come out next patch, right? Next patch is increasing what we can do in Wuling. So, not much we'll still be using Valley 4. Even if the patch after that is a completely new region, even we're like, okay, cool, we're done with Wuling. Which I don't think we are going to be, because there's a lot of Wuling characters that haven't been unlocked yet, so presumably once they've had their banners, then we move on to the next area, and we have a new factory to unlock and all that shit. So in that case, it's like, oh, okay, well, we're going to have a few months of Valley 4 to work with. But there's no reason to go back. And to be fair, there's no reason for the most part to come back here unless you need to farm artifacts or domain stuff. And they do bring reasons to come back, right? So they gave us Zibai, and she needs Leeway Talon Mats, so we had to come back with Leeway Talon Mats. Like Varka, I don't know if Varka needs the Mondstat Talent Mats. I would assume he does, but I don't have them, so I'm not sure. So sure, you come back to do those things. Every now and then you get a character. I think Durin needed the old Mondstat Talent Mat, so it's okay, cool. You come back for that. There's no story reason to come back. And so Enfield, it's yeah, once you've moved on and you're in Wuling and the 3rd zone, you're not really going to come back to Valley 4 ever, unless you need to level up a new character and you've run out of the early Ascension materials. And that's assuming that new characters coming out much later will use all those ones. I'm sure they will, because but either way, so it's there'll be no reason to go back there. And so I mean, it's hard to tell for Enfield because obviously it's so new. Yeah, sure, they've had Valley 4 quests pop up, so they still have us go back there. But I'm curious to look at how it's. But regardless, the point is that Genshin does bring us back. We had the Lunar New Year, and Lunar New Year takes us back to Leeway every single year. And they've been kind of alternating between zones. So sometimes it's a Mondstat event, sometimes it's an Inazuma event. But they bring us back, and they reintroduce us to characters in the old regions, to keep them fresh in our memory. A few months ago, we had a Sumeru event where it was when Nefer came out, we had a Sumeru event where we met pretty much every Sumerian character, with the exception of Nahida, popped up during the event. So it's really cool like that. And now we have, this, we're going back to Mondstat, and now it's just oh yeah, remember Mondstat? This is how the game was back in the day. you know, which is pretty cool. And they're even like reciting the old lines too. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a nice homage, because I mean, it's been 5 years. So for the few of us who've been playing since then, I mean, not a few, but for the decent amount of people who've been playing since then, yeah, it's been a long time since we've... Wait, what? Highly elastic fish meat. What the fuck? We have rubber fish? Oh, I see. I think I remember hearing something about saying... I remember hearing talk about Alice and Klee having a good bonding moment. So this is Alice then. This is Alice's handiwork. And that would explain why we haven't unlocked it. It's not the Statue of the Seven, it's the Statue of Klee. Yeah, like obviously Alice could have just forged Jean's... Actually, I don't even know. Do we even know Jean's signature or handwriting? Like, how often is Jean written to us? Like, the idea could be that, maybe Jean does write to us, like, constantly. I mean, not constantly, but maybe Jean does, like, write to us, surprising us of the situation. I think we've definitely come back to Mondstat previously, for various events. So you could argue that we receive a letter from Mondstat, which maybe has, like, letters from various people from Mondstat, like maybe Fischl, Kaya, Jean, Lisa all send us letters fairly regularly, so that we are familiar with their handwriting. Well, don't we gotta resonate with the statue? Nah, I bet it's gonna give us like the power of bombs or something. Do 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 do. Oh. Do I actually resonate? Oh, okay, so this doesn't actually work. I was kind of curious. I was like, wait, what? That's funny. I think little fireworks too. Wait, what? Worship? Oh, I see. Take a picture. Oh, interesting. It said discrepancy. It said discrepancy captures, so that's what we have to do. We have to capture all that discrepancy. Oh, goddammit, they give me a shitty glider. Oh, to be fair, we didn't have the glider in the first game. In the prologue, we didn't have the glider yet, because we had to get the Mondstat first. we had to meet. We met Amber in here, and Venti and Dvalin, and then are they gonna have the dragon come up? Here he is. Yeah, Venti and Dvalin are showing up. I think this was when we saw Dvalin had to have the cursed blood or whatever, his cursed blood drop, and then Amber pops up. They run away, then Amber pops up, and then we're escorted into the Mondstat. And then only after we beat Dvalin back do we then get the glider's license and get a glider. Actually, wait a minute. No, we had a glider, didn't we, in fighting Dvalin? So maybe we got the glider's license first, then Dvalin attacked?
僕たちを驚かせるって目的はなんやかんや達成できたってことだ。とっても満足。バッチリ録画するなよ。二人とも旅のスタート。
That is nice, because, like, I think technically they did use Dvalin to take us to the Golden Apple Archipelago, so we did interact with him after we fixed him. Oh, I see. But yeah, we haven't really, like, chatted with Dvalin after we, like, freed him that much. Like, I think the Golden Apple Archipelago, he was the one who took us there. I think we hopped on his back. I think there was another event, too, I kind of remember Dvalin helping. I can't remember what it was, though. I think it was a while ago, too. So, it's nice that we had to get a chat with him. Kind of see that he's just still chilling. Actually, no, wasn't there... There's another dragon. Oh, yeah, well... I remember we went back to Dvalin's lair with Durin. Because we're like, hey, let's go talk to the other dragon, right? But I don't think we actually spoke with him at that time. I don't think he was there at the time. So... Yeah, I can't... But they did reference him. I do like that. Yeah, like, dude, we literally just woke up inside the office. Chances are we were here the entire time. And we were inside that little... Our minds were inside that little ball. Honestly, we aren't really. Like, every time she's about to give us an explanation, she's like, no, stop giving us explanations. Yeah, I really just do not like that hair. I just do not like the hair that, like, just flares up like a feather or a wing. It just looks so stupid. Like, I understand the basic concept, right? Is that she has the brim of her hat as metal, and the idea is her hair is supposed to represent the peak of the hat, right? So it's like, yeah, that's the hat top, and then the metal thing is just the brim of the hat. I get that. I understand that's the concept they're going with, but it also looks really fucking stupid. I'd much rather her hair just look normal, and they just made a metal top as well, right? So they just had like some sort of connector in the back that had the outer frame of the hat top. Like to use her hair like as the hat just looks dumb. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like everything about her, the rest of her outfit is fine. It's just that part is the only thing I dislike, and I dislike it intensely.
これくらいの腕前がないと大魔王なんて名乗れないでしょ。あなたたちが見た現実と異なるものは、でもウェンティとトワリンは本物よ。せっかくの機会だからね。旅立ちの時の心情っていうのは久しぶりに触れる。
He said everything was fake, so you put them in the bubble too?
たとえ名前や旋律を忘れてしまう。
I mean, then they would still kind of be fake, but I guess since they came from outside the bubble, they would also be, quote unquote, real. But if everything in there, like even the body, our own body within there, was fake, we weren't there physically. You just brought our minds in, I think, or maybe we were physically brought in, because didn't that happen in Simulanka? Simulanka was a fake world, but I think our real bodies were put in there. So maybe that's what actually happened. Maybe they actually brought our physical bodies into this bubble. I had initially thought maybe we were like dreaming and it was just our minds in there.
君たちも旅の途中で似たような感覚。まさかそんなことするわけないでしょ。私がジンさんにお願いした。
Oh, okay, cool. So that actually was her. Yeah, I was kind of wondering if it was if she hasn't written to us very often. It's possible that, we just would not recognize her handwriting to begin with.
だって私の娘は彼女の手の中なのよ。はあ、まあ人質みたいな言い方だな。でも魔法のシャボン玉が生まれたのはなどくらいの一件が片付いて、ファルカはジンに大規模な歓迎の式典は用意せず、騎士たちを早めに家族と再会させてやってくれ。
Oh, that's going to be interesting, actually. So, like, there has been this overarching, not really overarching plot. There has been a plot that existed in Mondstat about Grace, a blind girl, and she has a boyfriend who is a knight of Favonius, and she basically thinks that her boyfriend went with Varka on his trip, right? But he didn't. I think did he oversleep or something? I don't know. But basically, he wasn't able to make it. But basically, he's been lying to her ever since. So he's been chilling outside of Mondstat, sending letters to his... Actually, how the fuck does that even work? She's blind. How would she read letters? But basically, there was a daily that you would do. You have to, like, release dandelion seeds so that they could communicate. And then we figured out, oh shit, he's actually just chilling out there, lying to her the entire time. Because she thinks he's, she thinks he's over there. She thinks he's with Varka, and he's too embarrassed to come back and be like, whoops, sorry, I missed it. But now Varka's coming back. So is the lie going to be caught out? Are they going to remember that? They're going to remember, oh yeah, by the way, or is it going to be like, oh, Varka comes back and then he's going to rejoin and come back into Mondstat? See, the weird thing, of course, is that, so supposedly he should be with Varka, right? But Varka should know who is there and who is not, especially after all the fighting they've done. They 100% would have had to do a head count, right? There's no way in hell. Like, let's say they didn't do a proper head count on their way out, which of course is also unrealistic. They would have figured out, oh, this guy wasn't here. And so they would have been like, okay, this guy's not here, whatever, let's go. But regardless, even if they didn't do that on the way out, because they were like, yeah, fuck it, seems like we have everybody. They were fighting the Wild Hunt, so some of them had to have died, right? Some of them, there had to have been casualties. So they would have had to do a head count on the way back to be like, okay, we came in with this amount of people, we have this amount of people, so we know who lived and made it, who's injured and all that shit. So his absence should have been noted at that point. Either they think he was there to begin with, and so they would log him as dead, missing in action or killed in action or whatever, right? Or they would have realized he was never there to begin with on the way out, And we'd be like, okay, that's normal. But either way, they should know whether he was there or not. So the Knights Favonius would assume that this guy's gone, right? The guy left with Varka, and so they wouldn't be aware. They wouldn't be thinking his absence would be like expected, right? Although maybe it could be that the only person he lied to was her, and he actually did go report into the Knights Favonius and say, hey, I missed Varka's thing, so I'm still here. And maybe he has been doing his job as a knight since then, but has just been lying to Grace about where he was. Regardless, it's super dick move. It's like, because it's its own insecurity. Because, like, there's no reason to lie to her. Like, yeah, you might have told her you were gone, but, like, you could just tell her, whoops, I missed the train, I missed the boat, whatever. I wasn't able to make it, so I'm here still. But, like, no, you lied to your girlfriend for 5 years, because Varka was gone before we even showed up 5 years ago. So he's been lying to his girlfriend for years. You know, she's been blind and lonely this entire time, and because he's too shy and embarrassed about missing that, he decided to lie and make her feel lonely the entire time, which is like, wow, what a complete dick move. So I'd love to see him get his comeuppance and have his lie be caught out, and then him be shamed and embarrassed for doing such a horrible thing to his girlfriend. I don't know if they're going to remember that, or if there is going to be a through point, like after Varka, will there be a new daily saying, hey, you know, my boyfriend's back, you know, or something like that. Or if Varka will call him out and be like, hey, I don't remember you. You weren't with us on our trip. You know? And then the Knights will realize, oh shit, this guy went AWOL 5 years ago. Yeah, so it's either, if he was smart, he would have at least told the Knights, said, whoops, I missed the boat. You know, I missed the boat, please. You know, I'll continue my patrol in town, right? Because, like, if he not only lied to his girlfriend, but lied to the Knights and said, hey, yeah, like, and pretended to be away with Varka, so basically didn't report into his duty at Mondstat, and just operated in the assumption, well, they'll think I'm over with Varka, so I shouldn't show up to work. Then it'll look really terrible, because then he did abandon his post for years. You know, he didn't go on that trip, which is like, okay, shit happens. I'm sure it would have been forgiven. But if he missed that and then didn't report into the Knights to continue his job as a knight for years while Varka was away, that would be really bad. You know, that actually is, you know, that is desertion at that point. So I'm curious to see if they're going to ever mention that. If they're just going to brush it aside and have him say, oh, Grace will be like, oh, my boyfriend came back, and no one will bring up the fact that he was gone for a bit. Like, because if he did report to the Knights, and at least the Knights knew, oh, okay, he missed the Varka trip, but he has been patrolling since then, you know, so, like, they realize, oh, shit, you missed your trip? Okay, whatever, right? Sure, then you just, like, you're punished to patrol these, like, your punishment is to, like, patrol the streets or something like that, you know? So it could be that he did tell them, he did tell the Knights that he missed the boat, and he has just been tasked with working in Mondstat since then, so in which case, that would be fine from a job perspective. It's like, okay, well, at least he didn't lie to the Knights. He still lied to his girlfriend, which is just morally wrong, and just a dick move to do, especially considering that she's blind. It's like, so she's disabled, and then you're going to lie to her on top of that. It's like, god damn it. Because it's like, I imagine, it's got to be rough to be blind, right? Just generally. And I imagine you're probably more susceptible to loneliness as a blind person. Although maybe you get used to it. Maybe you get more used to loneliness because you know you just can't see, so you just feel more isolated. So you just get used to the isolation. But even still, it's just like, yeah, someone who is more susceptible to loneliness due to their inability to see, which makes it harder for them to like, you know, feel like they're around people. You then lied to her for years saying you were gone just because you're too embarrassed to admit that you missed your ship. You missed your boat with Varka. And so it's like, oh, okay, so you're going to subject her to loneliness for years because you're embarrassed. Yeah, fuck you, dude.
ジンには
But, you know, we'll see. Obviously, that's like a very niche thing. Like, that was a Mondstat daily where you found out this fact. And, you know, Varka was away. And this is like a Mondstat daily that existed since 1.0, right? So it's been literally 5 years since we, you know, had to deal with that. So it is curious if they're going to remember. You know, maybe they won't remember and they'll just gloss over it and everything will be the same. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll go through and be like, okay, what Mondstat quests involved Varka being gone? Okay, like daily repeatable quests. Like, obviously, don't change old quests for that people might not have done. Just change the ones that are repeatable. Like any daily quest that revolves around Varka being gone. Change dialogue and NPCs. Any NPC that mentions, you know, Jean as the acting headmaster should no longer do so. She should be referred to as the vice master. Like with Varka back, she should no longer be referred to the acting headmaster or whatever, because she should no longer be the acting headmaster. Should now be active Varka. So stuff like that. So I'm hoping they do that. I'm hoping they do go through the dialogue and repeatable quests to get rid of and or update the lines and quests that refer to the old order.
お祭りみたいな歓迎の式典はこの魔法のシャボン玉もその一つなの。これ簡単に言えばあなたたちの冒険をそう。最終的な目的は
じゃあオイラたちが見た現実。
ああ、今はシャボン玉の中の世界が、記憶という媒体は情報の抽出が簡単で情報の密度も悪くないのだけれど。
It's also like, you're extracting our memories, but the only thing that really changed was, I mean, the Klee statue is very likely intentionally changed, and the fireworks also was just intentionally added. The only thing that was kind of like a problem was just the fungus instead of the hydro slime. But you could argue that we followed so many things that when just pulling our memories, it just pulled the wrong enemy, right? You know, like or it just like blended together, so it was harder to extract. So it's like, oh, whoops, yeah, that was wrong because, you know, maybe you had funguses on the mind when we, you know, pulled you in.
だから記憶だけを頼りに世界を再現しようとしても、細部も今回元となった記憶、つまりウェンティの記憶はかなり信頼できるものだけれど、それでも記憶そのものには互換性がないから。この魔法には自己演算の能力を加えたのだけれど、簡単に言うと、例えば
Yeah, so it's basically like she used AI, and so the AI, you know, just rather than using the memory, it's like, okay, well, to speed it up, we'll have AI transcribe those memories, and so now you're going to get AI-induced hallucinations into those memories. Sure, you're able to process more and faster, but you're going to introduce issues that need to be resolved later. But to be fair, like, most of it was fine. It was just that one enemy. So it's like, realistically, it's a smart thing to do, and then just needs to be overviewed. That's why, like, AI isn't bad. The only real problem with AI is when people just use AI as the end product. Where they're like, cool, we're just going to run it through this filter with AI, and then just pump that directly out as the end product. It's like, no, there should be further reviews. And like, people are shitting on Larian for using AI as part of their their development process, but it's like, they weren't using AI as the end product. They were using AI to assist with the initial prototyping of things. Which is like, yeah, they use AI to spin up a bunch of prototypes, and then as humans, they then review it and refine it, right? That's the best way to do AI. AI to make existing processes more efficient and faster for humans to then act upon. But the problem is, a lot of AI is just like, nope, we're just gonna like for the Call of Duty art that they used for their end product was literally just they created from AI. They're like, cool, we made an AI product, we're gonna put it directly into the game, right? It's like, no, you should have AI produce a bunch of images. You know, you want to create a Santa thing? Great. You want to create a zombie Santa thing? Great. Have AI create like 500 zombie Santa images. You then use a human to then review them and be like, okay, you can use it directly if you want, but realistically, a human should be reviewing every single one just to make sure that, that everything looks good, that there's no problems with the image. Because like one of the things that caught that the zombie Santa out when it was used in Call of Duty was it had like extra fingers, right? Which is a common thing AI did back in the day, and not as common now because it's gotten better, but it's just like if a human had reviewed it properly, they would have caught it and maybe not used the image or had it spin up another image based on that was correct, right? So it's like they were just using it to avoid work entirely instead of just streamlining and making a process more efficient. And that's the problem. So you can't remove the human element. Human element needs to be there for oversight because AI is just not that good at the moment. But there's a lot of people who are just using it to completely remove humans and be like, oh, okay, well, we used to have a team for this. Now we're just going to have one guy producing prompts. And it's like, no, you should have one guy producing prompts to create the things, but then you should still have humans be reviewing it at the end and maybe fine-tuning it and improving it, right? So maybe you don't need, like maybe you had a team of 10 to do this. Now you have one guy to do the prompts and 2 to 3 guys to do the review and touch-ups, right? You've now saved 7 people's worth of effort, right? Now, obviously, those 7 people are going to be fired, and so people don't like it because of that. But, like, that's how you should properly do it. It should not be the end-all. It should not be used at the end line of the process. It should be used near the beginning. But artists are so butthurt about losing their jobs that they are just trying to push the idea that AI is just bad categorically, which it's not. In fact, I was arguing with a guy on Twitter who was bitching and moaning about AI and saying, someone like used AI and then they said something categorically untrue. I'm like, where they were saying, you should use humans. I'm like, dude, that humans learn the same way AI does. Because they're like, AI just steals other people's art. AI just steals other people's art. You should have used a human, something along that lines. And I responded with saying, that's literally what humans do. Humans, throughout their life, see other art forms and either develop their own art style based on that or copy it. AI just does it faster. That's it. AI does exactly what humans do. There is no artist who hasn't seen other art, right? There's no artist that exists in a vacuum for the most part, right? And if you want to say, well, yeah, there is, yeah, sure. You could think of caveman paintings, right? Sure. But look how shitty caveman paintings are, right? They're absolutely terrible. You could have an AI who has not been trained on any sort of art at all create art. You could do that, and it would look like shit because there's no frame of reference. Like, you could give them, like, stock images of objects, to be like, okay, well, this is what an apple looks like. This is what this looks like. And then, have them try to generate something. It would still look like shit for the most part, right? Because they have no context. They have no frame of reference. They don't have their own distinct style. But that's basically like how children are, right? If you look at children's artwork, it looks like shit, right? But children, after drawing a lot of times and seeing stuff in the world, seeing nature, seeing television, seeing comics, seeing all sorts of art in the world, then develop their own style or just flat out copy it. There's a lot of people who copy it, right? Akira Toriyama has a very copyable art style, and people have copied that art style, right? It's fine to, right? It's fine, The only problem becomes is just don't, try to sell it as Akira Toriyama, right? You want to create your own fighting comic, and Akira Toriyama's art style is just so iconic and relatively simplistic to use. Yeah, sure, that's fine to use it, Create your own comic using your own characters. But people who complain and say AI art is bad are just idiots, right? We're like, oh, they're stealing other people's art. Yes, so do humans. So do humans. AI just does it better and more efficiently and faster and more directly, right? AI, you can just load in a bunch of images into AI to develop its algorithm, right? Whereas for humans, you can't just you're not going to set a human in front of a computer and then just show them 1,000 pictures at once, right? You're not going to be like, okay, look at this picture for 5 seconds, move on to the next one, move on to the next one. No, like that doesn't happen for humans, right? Humans do that over their entire lifetime through various mediums. You know, humans go to art school and see various arts methodology and stuff like that, right? Like there are literally art books that teach you, art styles and give you examples, right? If you're an art student or if you're an artist, chances are you've seen art books. You've gone to art classes, right? So to pretend that AI is doing something unique to itself, you're just a moron. But then again, you're also an artist, which I'm not saying artists are morons, but like you're an artist, right? You're not a computer science major. You're not a computer engineer. You don't know how AI works. So it's like, yeah, obviously you know shit you don't know. But you don't, that's the point. You don't know, but you're claiming it's not. So it's like, oh, okay. So you don't know, but you're going to be stupid and claim something you have no basis on understanding. But yeah, that is exactly how AI art works. AI art works and learns exactly the same way humans do, by seeing other works of art. And that's the thing, is they do develop their own style, right? Like AI art, there is a style, like there is like, I don't know, like there are definitely it seems like when you're like looking at AI art that like tries to have humans that are like completely generated, like non-existent, they have this like waxy quality to them, which is very reminiscent across all AI art styles. Like you see a variety of AI art that like looks very similar. It's like, oh, we have a human, and it's like you can kind of tell it is because of like there are certain characteristics that it seems like they've all kind of developed, unless they're trying to like mimic a specific person, and then it usually gets pretty good. But yeah, there are some qualities to it. But so they have a style, right? And there is a style, and you can obviously change the style and say, oh, we'll also like create something like this in the style of Vincent van Gogh, and then it further refines it and makes it more like Vincent van Gogh's art. But again, it does what humans do, but better, right? Because you could argue, well, humans don't do that. It's like, really? What the fuck do you think art forgery is, right? Art forgery has existed for fucking ever. There have been shitloads of artists who replicate, who do it officially, right? Who replicate other works of art, like try to mimic it, try to create fakes, but don't try to portray it as their own, right? They're like, this is a fake. This is Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. I'm going to sign my own name on it. This is a fake created by me in this style, right? To be a replica of this. But because you're not signing Vincent van Gogh's name, you're not trying to say this is Vincent van Gogh's, and you're not going to try to sell it for $100 million or whatever, however much Starry Night is worth, because it's understood as a fake. It's understood as a copy. But then there are lots of other people who actually try to forge everything to try to make fuckloads of money. But art forgeries have existed forever. And now we have prints, right? The owners of the artwork create posters, essentially, of the artwork, which are just photos of it, right? So, we're fine doing one-for-one copies of the exact same existing work. But people like to think, oh, no, it's different for AI. It's like, no, it's not. What humans do, like, basically, whatever AI is doing, humans have already done, right? Not specifically the artwork, but I'm saying, like, the copying, like, humans have also copied other existing artwork. There are humans that just don't have their own style and just copy other people's style. That's it. Just like there's AI that does that too, right? So to pretend it's a uniquely AI thing is just wrong, right? And you could be like, oh, they can't create anything new. And that was another thing I saw. I think someone created an AI video where it was two Marvel superheroes fighting. Or no, wait. No, it was the Power Rangers versus Marvel or something. I don't know. Oh, no, that was it. It was Power Rangers versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was it. So it was a Power Ranger fighting a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Now, obviously, I think it was like using C dance, which is becoming relatively popular. So it was only like a 15-second or 10-second little clip. But someone said, AI just plagiarizes. All they can do is just AI can't create anything original. It's like, are you fucking dumb? They did create something original. Have you ever seen an image Have you ever seen a video where Power Rangers fight Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I haven't. Like, I don't think that exists. So AI did create something completely original, you know? Because like, what they're trying to argue is like, well, they didn't use original characters. They used Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They used Power Rangers. Those characters exist. Therefore, anything using those can't be original. It's like, well, that's fucking stupid. Because anyone, you know, as just a random dude, you know, if you want to create a Power Ranger comic, if you want to create a manga using those characters in a story that doesn't exist in the original series, you've created an original work. Sure, your characters are not original. You're using Power Rangers. But you're creating an original work. If you want to create a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic that, you know, delves into something else, delves into a topic in the story that's not covered in the original cartoons, you've created an original product. Now, sure, you're going to get trademark infringement or copyright infringement for using characters that exist, that, you know, that are copywritten, you know. But, like, the work you did is original. It's just that you used unoriginal characters. So, like, that AI did create something original. And AI is creating something original. Like, there was that whole Studio Ghibli arc where everyone is using AI to create various images of themselves or others using Studio Ghibli style, right? And you might be like, well, AI can't create anything original. All those images are original images. Studio Ghibli didn't create a profile picture for you in its own style based on a photo you had, right? No. Every single one of the pieces they did was completely original, right? It never existed before in the world until AI brought it into existence. So it is an original piece, right? You could say, oh, well, the style's not original, but it's like, how many other people in the world have like created artwork in Studio Ghibli style themselves, right? Like just manually, you know? Just because the style exists, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. So now you can't make a cubist picture. You can't do an impressionist picture. Well, impressionism exists as a style. Therefore, if you make an impressionist picture, you're plagiarizing because it's not original. Because the style, it's like, no, obviously not. Like that's a stupid argument to make, to say, oh, well, you copied their style, therefore you can't make anything original. It's like, you can copy tons of people's style, you know? What matters is the content of the image or content of the work that determines whether it's original or not. You know, using non-original characters, using a non-original style can still produce an original work. So yeah, basically it's a bunch of artists trying to gatekeep because they're worried that they're going to lose their job, because they 100% are. Not all of them. We will always have, well, not always. There's always going to be companies that are there's always going to be companies that do it poorly and do it incorrectly and fire their entire art team to replace them entirely with AI, which you're going to get a subpar product that way. Realistically, the best thing to do would be to fire like 75% of your workforce and have them use AI tools to start a project and then have them further refine the project afterwards, right? To be like, yeah, you use AI to prototype a bunch of images and like, you know, because that's what happens is AI, for real artists, what they do in a game project, as an example, they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to I'm going to create this or that, which is fine, you know. You know, it's fine to do that. It's fine to create something. But like for video games, right? Like you want to be like, okay, well, we want to set this video game in, you know, Transylvania, right? Well, then in AI, like when you're doing level design, you're going to have an artist have to like spin up some conceptual art of what like the level is going to look like and all that shit, right? But that's not going to be the final art that's going to be used. But an artist still has to take a lot of time, you know, creating a bunch of images. And even then you might reject it. You might be like, no, this is too dark, or this is not dark enough, or I kind of want this and this in there. And so an artist has to go back and forth multiple times, which takes time to draw, because an artist can't just draw instantly. They're not like a photo or something like that. Whereas an AI could instantly prototype that shit. You know, you get a guy up there with AI, with a generative AI model, types in a few things of Transylvania, basically, and you have the project lead to be like, and you pop out a bunch. He decides, okay, I like this one, but I kind of want this one to be darker or lighter, or I want it to have more bats or trees or whatever like that. Then you could say, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to take that image, and I want to, then create another set of images based on that, with more trees and stuff. Until the fucking project manager is like, hey, you know what? This one's perfect. And now you, as the artist, know what the whole thing will be, and that's something you can figure out in a day, right? In a day, you now have your direction. You now have your direction, and as the artist, they could then start drawing the actual concept art for that zone using these generated images as a basis, right? To be like, okay, cool. Now that we know what the project lead wants the level to look like, because we were able to quickly, spin up a bunch of images, and he was able to find the one that exactly matched what he had in his mind, we can now create a level based on that. Whereas before, it would be like, the guy would tell them, hey, do this. Like, I want a level like this. And they have to start then drawing, which would take days to draw up. Or maybe a single day, right? Let's say it takes only a day to draw up a few concept art for a level, right? Because you have a team, and each one of you is doing. And then, of course, there's the variance between team members, right? Each one of you has their own idea of what it's going to look like, and so some of you, if the project lead's like, hey, person B is the one the person B's concept art is actually exactly what I had in mind. Well, basically, that means your entire team was useless except for person B, because person B's concept art is going to be used, and all the other ones are going to be thrown in the way. So you basically wasted an entire team's worth of work just to get one image that's going to be used that was made by person B, and then that will be the basis for the level that the rest of the team gets back on. Where it's like, if you had AI art to basically get to person B's art first in seconds, in an hour or two, you now don't need an entire team to generate images, initial concept art. So basically, yeah, you don't need the entire team. You streamlined the initial prototyping process, and then you only need just enough people to actually draw the art. You don't need extra people to make up for the fact that it takes time to draw, So you have a lot of people so they can all work in parallel. You have a lot of people because you want to parallelize the process to make it. But now that you've eliminated the need for something, the time that would have been spent for 10 people to draw each an image for only one of them to use, you've now saved all that time, so you only need a few people to draw the finalized image. And whereas technically, maybe once you had the finalized image, you're going to now have 10 people working in parallel to make the remainder of it. So you're able to get to step 2 of the process earlier with AI, but it might take longer because you have less people. But overall, you still might be taking less time than doing it the other way, right? So it's just, that's the way it should work. That's the way to do it. That's the way. So it's never about, we're going to fire all humans. It's just that AI is going to be used to streamline the process, so we don't need as many humans. But they still should be involved, and they still will be involved. But the problem is that artists are so self-serving that they just, they try to gatekeep to try to get the public on their side, when it's just it doesn't matter if the public's on your side. It makes businesses save money doing it, so they will do it. Doesn't matter what the customer says, because basically you might think, oh, well, if we can get the public to ban it or outlaw it, fine, sure. Let's say America bans it, outlaws it. Other countries won't. So other countries will be able to produce better products faster, and America will lose its competitive advantage, and then you'll get fired anyway, right? Businesses will start going under because they can't compete in the global market, because the global market is not hamstringing themselves, handcuffing themselves by not using AI. So they produce better products faster that humans just can't catch up with. So their products sell more, our products sell less, and our businesses go under. So it's incredibly short-sighted too, because it's like, oh, well, we should just ban this. Don't use this. It's great. So you want to save your job now to only lose it 5 years later once your business goes under because they can't compete because they didn't use AI. You know, it's incredible because again, they're artists. They're not computer scientists. They're not business. You know, they're not financial consultants. They don't understand how businesses work. They just know, I have a job, and now I lost my job to AI. I lost my job, right? You know, that's it. It's just they only care about themselves, so they're trying to get in the way of progress so that they can keep their job. But it's just like, you know, you can consider it's a bunch of stable boys all come bitching and moaning when the motor car comes out. When the automobile comes out, you have a bunch of stable boys and horse sellers are now complaining, saying, no, we can't do this. Fuck this. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what artists are doing now. Artists are the stable boys. Artists are the horse merchants when the automobiles come out. And we all know how ubiquitous the automobile is now, right? Everyone has a fucking car. Like, cars are everywhere. No one fucking uses horses other than for recreation or sport, right? That's it. And again, no one uses it other than recreation or sport. So there are horse merchants, right? There are horse sellers. There are stables. There are stable boys. Those jobs still exist, but just on a much smaller scale, you know? Because you don't need, you know, horses in every town to get people to and from, right? But they still exist. And artists will still exist. They just will exist on a smaller scale. And to be fair, artists will exist on a greater scale than stable boys and horse merchants do now, right? No matter how good AI is, we're still going to need a few core artists in every single company, right? Right now, you have like one horse merchant or two or three in a big city, but every company is going to have a few artists, right? Which, so obviously, you know, you're going to have a lot still, comparatively, because AI will never completely replace it. There will always need to be a human touch to it, to generate the images, to refine the images, to review the images, you know, 100%. So it's just a bunch of people who are using the fact that AI is in its infancy, and it, you know, still has a lot of problems. Just overall, like obviously, you know, the 6 fingers on people's hands. AI has definitely gotten better in the last year, and it was constantly going to improve. But yeah, there were problems like that. So people were just like, look, here's a problem with AI. AI is never going to take over us because it had put 6 fingers on this person. And it's just like, yeah, but AI, this is the worst AI is. Like at this moment, AI will only ever get better. So to blame, oh no, they can't do it now. It's like, yeah, it's like punching a child in the face for drawing a crappy image. That doesn't look like me. Slap. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what artists are doing right now. They're punching a child in the face saying, yeah, that human doesn't look human enough. And it's like, yeah, well, that child's going to grow up and they're going to get better over time. So yeah, it's a bunch of self-serving, selfish people who want to try to convince the world that they're acting in the benefit of the world, but no, they aren't. They're only acting in the benefit of themselves. They are actually actively working against the progress of the world, which they are either unaware of because they are dumb, or are aware of, but are just doing it because you know, they only care about themselves, or they care about themselves more than they give a shit about being honest. But, you know, that's just what it is. Okay. Oh, okay, it's a soul quest. Let's see, how long have I been doing this? Wait, what? What's it? For an hour? Let's at least go to the venue. I was thinking about calling it a day. I ranted too long. I should have. But yeah. Wait, where is it? Oh, it is. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, I ranted for too long. It's just because the same thing happens over and over again. There's a bunch of people who are just butthurt about it, and I just like the disingenuousness of it. All right, I just like the fact that they're just like trying to pretend that this is like true. It's like, no, it's not true. Like They don't understand how AI. They're just like, oh, AI, it's just copying other people. It's like, yeah, that's what humans do, dipshit. And like, even if you like feed them a bunch of various art styles, if you just tell them to draw an image with whatever they want, it usually is a mix and mashup of those various styles, right? If you say, hey, draw a person, it's rarely that it's going to perfectly mimic one person's style. Like, no, it'll be like a mix of all their styles, which is basically what humans do perfectly. They take a bunch of art, they develop their own style, you know?
アリスさんの魔法のシャボン玉は楽しめただろう。
すっごく楽しかったぞ。
それはよかった。続きは明日のお楽しみだな。
Ah, darn, she has a new outfit.
アリスさんの考えに
Well, a relatively new outfit. It's the one they gave for free that covers up her boob window.
多くの役者とトワリンの協力が幸いウェンティ殿、つまりバル栄誉騎士の冒険を再現すると聞いて皆盛り上がっていた。多くの人が参加してくれることになったから見知った顔を見かけることがあると思う。
ジン団長もその人。
そうだ。アリス
だよな。他のイベントもある。
大丈夫だ。代理団長としてモンドに残った者たちにとって遠征隊の帰還は大団長から連絡があった時、歓迎の式典は控えるよ。遠征隊の団員はナドくらいから帰還したばかり。
お前自身はどう思ってるんだ？
ああ、モンドに残った我々は首を長くして適度な歓迎は待ってきた者たちだけのためじゃない。帰還者にも故郷の生活リズムと昔の日常を思い出してもらえるはず。それに何より民たちが気持ちを伝え合える貴重な機会だ。ああ、ただ
それで今は何を用意。
ああ、案内。まずはここだ。魔女会の協力を得てセピロス剣術をここは騎兵招待に担当してもらう。
つまりガイアに会えるのか。
真面目なことを面白くするならガイアの方が上手だからな。
ジン団長って
それからここでは風の翼の競争射撃イベントが開催される。ここの担当正解だ。彼女の飛行技術は申し分ない。ここには屋台が並ぶ。休憩所、飲み物の屋台はヘルターに。
酒の種類がもっと多ければいいんだが、俺たちは。
なるほど。
なははは、なんだその顔は。
いえ大団長、早かったですね。申し訳ありません。まだ準備が万全ではなくて、ただ今のところこのエリアのみで実施するよ。
落ち着けって。改まった話し方もよしてくれ。お前が俺たちにサプライズを用意したがるのは。
そうで。
そうとも。ああ言ったのはお前にブレーキをかけてもらうため。お前はいつも理想を高く持ちすぎて知らず知らずのうちに全力を。
へえ。
ふん。騎士たち一人、飲み食いも遊びも全部揃ってるし派手すぎるわけじゃない。この感じ。
ありがとうございます。
大丈夫だって。俺を信じろ。せっかく戻ってきたことだしご馳走しよう。ん？どうした？
食事よりも大団長が戻っていらしたからに先に騎士団へ向かいましょう。
ちょっと待ってくれ。俺はただ帰ってきただけで。
分かっていますが。
これがどういうことか分かってないのか？出る頃には
そこまで大げさなものではありません。
シークレットメニューは確かに超
そうだな。
Yeah, he's been gone for 5 years. You should actually get back to your job sooner rather than later. Oh, nice. So it's all the classic Mondstatians. So we obviously met Jean as part of the thing, Lisa's part of this one. Oh, hey, is this gonna be the potion, like the potion event we did before? And then, okay, so he's our combat guy. So it is nice. Obviously, these are the characters we got and have existed, since the game came into existence. Amber was the I mean, Venti and Dvalin, I think we saw first, and then we saw Amber. Or did Amber appear first, and then we saw Venti? Either way, Amber was the first night that we met. Then we met Kaya shortly after, and then Lisa and Jean. So it's nice that the events. Oops, it's void of them. Okay, so that's why the bird's there. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I have had a nice little walk, had a nice little rant. But yeah, that's just how it is. People are selfish, which I mean makes sense, right? It is their livelihood, and the thing is art is just one of those things that has a very low barrier to entry, because like anyone can do it. So the only thing that really changed anything, and the only thing that really kind of restricted people, was just how skilled you were, right? How skilled are you at drawing? And so the people who are artists now are the people who were skilled enough to be artists. And so now they're seeing that, oh shit, now our skill as an artist is no longer as needed because AI can make anyone an artist, right? And of course, they'll say, no, you're not an artist. It's like, no, you are, right? You are. Because the problem with it is they are trying to gatekeep, right? They're trying to say, no, I have art skill, therefore I'm an artist. You are not because you used AI to generate images. But it's like, you know, what if you can't draw? What if you're a great programmer and you want to make a game, but you can't draw? So now you need to hire an artist to draw for your game, right? And you might be like, well, just hire an artist then. But like, well, what if you're just by yourself and you're just programming a game and you don't have, you know, money to hire an artist for a game you don't know it's going to be successful or not? You know, should you really be expected to spend money on this? Whereas like there's AI, like depending on what your game is, like, yeah, you might not need that much art. You might just need some, you know, some concept art, some level design art, and you can just take your time, you know, just generating images until you find something that fits exactly what you want to be your level and your character and all that shit, and then you just program the rest, right? So it's like they're trying to gatekeep to try to keep only, you know, people with skill to do stuff, but it's like, and I try to, and then trying to like idealize their own job, because you're like, oh well, no, our art is all creative and super awesome and shit like that. It's like, no, there's art like for billboards, right? There's the incredibly basic generic billboard bullshit. You know, there's the whole thing of like, oh, okay, we have this one art piece and now we want like 100 more like it, right? Like there's art like that too, where it's like, yeah, you are just a cog in a production line where you have to generate, you know, a bunch of images, you know, or something, right? Like what if you're a sign producer, right? And you're like, well, we do hand drawn art, but like all you're doing is just like drawing in cursive each company's name or something like that. That's all you do. You just, sure, yeah, it's slightly different each time because you're doing a different name, but like that is not super creative. Like, sure, you can get a little creative with it, but like, again, you're told what needs to be done. So, and you have to satisfy your customer's needs. So it's like to pretend that all art is some amazing, you know, Louvre-worthy shit. It's like, no, there's a lot of shit that is just incredibly bland, incredibly basic, you know, that doesn't need to be done by a human. You know? So yeah, it's just really gatekeepy. It's dumb. People should stop doing it. People should just, you know, people should let it happen. Like, and I get it. It's not like I don't get it. I understand. Like, people are worried about their job. It's already hard enough to find jobs these days. And having AI be incorporated by companies means like the likelihood of you getting a job as an artist in a company is less, because now you have the same number of artists trying to apply for fewer jobs, and so you have to, you know, do what you can outside of companies by pushing your own art on the internet and all that stuff. But again, you're under competition with AI art, which, because of how easy it is, it's also much cheaper. So something that you might have been able to sell for $100 before might only be worth 20, because an AI can produce something that's almost as good for 15. So yeah, I get it. I understand why they're worried. I just dislike the sanctimoniousness of their argument, and because they're just trying to like pretend that no, this is categorically true. It's, no, it's subjectively true, and not even that. Sometimes it's just flat out wrong with like how AI can't, like how AI is not art, and how their learning process is not like humans. It's like it's exactly like humans. They just do it better and faster. Like that's just it. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.